Let's unravel Geeta's world. Hello and welcome. This is the 109th episode of Geeta's World, and Geeta is back from the US. How are you, Geeta? How was you covering the elections?
It was hectic, exciting. To me, I'd say unexpected lines, because if you see the India Today global coverage, you'll realize that we were talking about how, when everyone else was saying that, Kamala has a strategy right, so on and so forth, we did speak about how Trump has his eyes on the right states with the right issues and right issues for him. I'm not saying the issues were right. Right issues for him that could win him the swing state. So I think we did pretty well. As a network, we were the only ones to be at the Republican Watch Party. There's no other Indian channel there. We decided to place ourselves. I was there in Florida. My colleague Rohit was there in DC. So we had both Kamala and Trump covered. When we were planning the coverage, so in the discussions, they said, is it necessary for two or one would do? I said, last time and last to last time, both the party candidates were in the same city, whether it's Hillary and Trump in New York, or later Trump and Biden in Delaware, DC, both of them. But in this election, on the 5th of November, both the candidates would not be in the same city. You will have to have both covered, because it's a close fight. We don't know who's going to win.
Exactly. Yeah.
And don't think that, just be sitting in DC will help. Because if Kamala loses and
we saw
Trump
the night.
wins,
then
it'll be a different scene altogether. And so I placed myself in Florida. Lo and behold, Kamala folded way before the elections were called.
Yes.
And the entire coverage moved to Florida.
Well, I did speaking. I mean, you were on the ground and speaking to, many voters over there, various communities. Did you actually get this idea, speaking to them, that tide could turn this way or that way?
No, so basically, I was in New York and then later in Florida. And even if I was speaking over the phone to a lot of people in other cities, you can't get a sense by standing there and thinking, how will the swing states vote? When you look at the swing states and the issues and the analysis and which way, where the Latinos voting this time, are women voters going to come out as the Kamala Harris camp thinks? Will that turn tide? And all that was spoken in our coverage also. Right. So there were too many factors at play. And a lot of things didn't work for Kamala. Like women voters didn't turn up in the numbers that they thought they would. And that could have been a major loss and a reason for some of the states not turning. But the moment, and we were saying that Trump's moment is Pennsylvania. If he gets it, he has it.
He wins it,
So we were at the watch party, and we were watching. There were big screens that were put up. And the big screens had all the three channels that people were monitoring, that's CNN, Fox, and MSNBC. And the numbers kept coming. And Fox was calling states earlier than CNN. CNN was being careful. And they were being careful, and they were still trying to say or see. A lot of, which is what I'm saying, Anna, a lot of US media were willing it. They wanted to will Kamala in. Economists wanted to will Kamala in. New York Times, you look at their writing, look at how they were reporting.
I have been following their podcast for the past 1.5 months, and genuinely,
and I kept telling you that it is one-sided, it is biased. They are trying to will it. It's not going to happen. And to all our viewers and listeners, this is very important. Kamala Harris, in the last leg, kept trying to other, and this is what I had said even in my show, World Today on
India Today Global.
India Today Global and India Today Network. This is exactly what we ended the whole analysis of the elections with. That when Kamala Harris tried to other Trump, saying that othering him, saying that he is not us. America is not this. Look what he just said. This is not. To all of them, I say, this is America. You are America, and America is Trump.
What
and
a
Trump
valid
is
point.
America.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I remember somebody was telling on the podcast itself that the main player in this entire election was Joe Biden, because
He did her in.
yeah, because of like the Democrats, Joe Biden being the face, Kamala Harris being the next face. They just like, there were comparisons also made, like, for example, take Congress here in India. Like they're letting the main party, the Democrats, thrive. And that's why the Republicans could make this sort of comeback after, so-called, I mean, there were so many levels of unprecedented events that have happened since 2016. But Democrats have allowed the Republicans to thrive, and that's why Joe Biden was the main player behind
So can I tell
Trump's
you this?
win.
Can I give you an India reference?
Yeah.
It bears nothing now. It holds no water now,
Yeah.
because we see that the numbers have changed and the government is sitting with a 240, that the BJP has. But there was a time when the Congress was losing states after states, right?
Yeah.
And every time Rahul Gandhi would lead any election, they would lose that state. So the same thing was said that, it seems like BJP is trying to keep the Rahul,
Yeah.
factor alive.
Exactly,
Because,
yeah.
the more he stays in, the
more is their likelihood to
Congress
win.
loses and the BJP wins. But that is just an aside from a very long time ago, because in politics, even a week is eons ago, and this has and the Indian elections took place a while ago. So let's just be very clear that we're just talking about jokes that took place eons ago, which now we're seeing a lot in the US that you can talk about and compare them with India in terms of how extreme ideologies have become, viewpoints have become, people have become,
Actually.
how polarized the country really is.
Just before-
And Trump played it to the T when it comes to polarization. And I gave you this example last time when we were discussing US elections, Anna. And we were discussing Haitians and pets, Trump eating, Haitians eating pets, Trump statement.
Yeah.
Which Vance had used, and everybody criticized it. And then Trump went ahead and used the same thing during the debate. And people were saying, why is he doing that? It's so stupid. And I told you that he's doing it with a strategy in mind. This is the strategy.
This is going to echo.
That he does not want Haitian votes. They are not his vote bank. But it certainly speaks for consolidation of all those who are against illegal immigration. And the telling data over here is that even immigrants have voted Trump.
Yes.
Because they are also against illegal immigration.
Yes.
The moment he shifted conversation from immigration being the issue, that we will not let outsiders in, to saying, no, we will let bright outsiders in who will contribute to the American economy, but we are not okay with illegal immigrants. The entire story changed. Look at the Indian Americans. I spoke with Indian Americans there who are registered Democratic voters, and they were voting Trump this time, and they said it openly to me, saying that, well, I'm a registered Democratic voter, but I'm voting Trump this time. Why? Because they're also upset with the fact that illegal immigration cannot be a subject where you can be iffy about it, that, okay, no.
And
you take a stand, you take a position. And why do they say that?
Yeah.
They say that because they say, my fathers and forefathers took years doing tedious paperwork, getting everything in order to enter America. And then we come here. We work very hard. And then we build our lives and become who we are today. Why should these people come with illegal documents or illegally into a country without the legwork that everyone else has had to do?
Wow. This is a way to validate their rights. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which is striking,
It
quite
is.
striking,
It
because
is.
you are voting for somebody who has said that this is
He's
going to be the
anti-foreigners to quite an extent.
Yeah.
But he's shifted his stance.
Yeah.
And that shift in policy has paid quite handsomely. He has really done well for himself in these narratives. Look at all the Indian Americans who are in his camp.
Yeah.
They're all legal immigrants, third generation, second generation.
Yeah.
And they're all anti-illegal immigration.
Wow.
And there's so many pro-India people now there, right? So US and pro-India would also mean pro this government here. And a lot of the Indian Americans nowadays are very pro this government in India.
You're right. Yes.
So you're seeing a shift from blue to red, which is never the case.
Yeah.
Because if an Indian ever entered America, they would always be Democrats, because Democrats were the ones who were welcoming of outsiders.
Yes.
But now the tide has changed, because now it is not immigration, it's about immigrants and illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
And there, the divide has been created by the Trump camp.
That's
They have othered the illegals.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think. There are many things that I think coming to the India factor, because, with Joe Biden, the kind of relationship that we saw between India and US, that was like, I mean, you remember the state visit and everything happened, and the kind of defense deals that we have, sort of brokered between the two countries. So I think many people, get mistaken that with Trump, the bonhomie was like really at par, but Joe Biden was equally.
Yes.
The kind of relation
I
that
think
we enjoyed.
we've done massive deals during the Biden administration. In fact, if anything, I don't know how many people actually know, Trump was very hard on India.
Right.
It's not just about the strategic.
Now
He
also.
stopped our entire trade deal. And you know why? Because India would not cut the tariff rates on Harley Davidsons. And you know how many Harley Davidsons that come to India? Just about 80 odd
Wow.
number of Harley Davidsons, which is nothing. So, one of the American diplomats off the record was saying, we were telling the Trump administration, it's just 80 bikes, let go. The trade deal is way more important to have entry into the Indian market. A very protectionist Indian market. That will be a game changer.
Wow.
And he said no.
How ironical. How ironical that how it has seeped it into our, households. I think optics have actually played in Trump's
he's
favor.
going to be very and all through his campaign, he said Modi is a great friend, India is a great country, all of that.
Yeah.
But he also says that maybe we did not do a deal properly with India on tariffs. We will be tougher.
That's what, he has said that he sees India as a big abuser of the trading system. And he wants a 20% tariff on all imported goods in the US. And some economists have also estimated that India's GDP could shrink by 0.1% by 2028 if Trump's tariffs get implemented. So it's a big alarmist thing to... So how do you think Prime Minister Modi is going to deal with
I think the
Trump?
Only thing that is going to happen right now is with India and China trying to become a little better or decent with each other. That is not always great for America. Those are signs that they would not want. The reading of those signs are don't bode well for America or American interests. Why? Because then you have the RIC coming together, which is Russia, India, China.
Yes.
India, Russia close, China, Russia close. The only problem is India, China. So if that bridge is that gap is bridged, then you have Russia, India, China, all of them, the old RIC coming together, and that poses real threat and danger for the Americans.
Wow,
So also remember that Trump is not absolutely anti-Russia.
Yes.
But he's absolutely anti-China.
Yeah.
So the first thing he's going to do is not target India. The first thing he's going to do, in those very statements that you read out, there are statements on China as well. So the first thing he's going to do is levy taxes on China. Tariffs.
So which is not good for India as well, no?
Why?
Because,
Then we become the alternative.
but can be.
Surely we can, because then everybody will be looking at us as an alternative.
Okay.
So we will become the
But do
alternative.
we have the infrastructure to be the alternative? That's the...
We've not had that infrastructure for a while. A lot of people, I'm sorry. But then, this again would sound alarmist, and people will say, oh, you're anti-India. I'm not.
No, of
I'm a
course not.
journalist, Anna, who will say what is as is because I think for India. So when COVID and post-COVID, everybody's talking about global supply chains, and they said, oh, India is the next big thing. And there were some anchors, some journalists who said, oh, China is dying and India is the story, blah, blah, blah. And I kept telling them that one, China is not dying. Yes, China is facing a massive, imminent economic crisis that they will be seeing, and it'll be a bubble that they'll not be able to, once it bursts, get out of. Or they would. But right now, we are not the alternative to China as a global supply chain.
Yes.
As a major cog in that supply chain machine. We are not that yet. Why? Because we are yet to reach a place where we are going to manufacture majorly.
Right.
So if you see the statements of our ministers have also changed from saying that we will become, choose India over others, this, that, and the rest. When the data came out and it showed that India's trading with China has increased manifold.
It's the biggest exporter.
Yeah,
right,
and for us,
Importer.
importer. Like we import a lot from China.
Right.
So when those questions were asked, they said, well, we're not there yet, so we still need China. And we'll still have to continue doing business with China. Then Galvan happened, so on and so forth. We tried to boycott a lot of things, and then we saw trade increase furthermore.
Yeah.
Which goes to show that even in a very adversarial situation, or a situation filled with adversity, we still are doing business with China. So China has not gone anywhere. And finding an alternative to China, you will really have to build. So I think we are doing a lot when it comes to building infrastructure, but we are not there yet.
A long way to go.
It is a long way to go.
Remember we spoke about semiconductor,
yes,
the Foxconn thing, and happened.
Moved to Vietnam.
Moved to Vietnam.
Apple from China moved to Vietnam, did not come to India.
Right.
So you have a situation where you have Trump in power now. For him, China is a bigger threat, and he's going to focus on China. So we'll have to wait and see where India will be placed in his scheme of things, of really at this point in time having an adversarial relationship with India. Does that work for him?
Yeah.
With so many advisors who are pro-India, I don't think that's going to be the case. So there are going to be problems. Also, interestingly, I'd like to see how he behaves or handles the murder for hire charges, Gurpatwant Singh Panoon, Khalistan issue. Because he's completely okay with saying that these are terrorists, get them out.
Yeah.
But the moment the story changes to an American, being or coming under threat from a state, then we need to see how he reacts to that. Would he be okay with India, according to American intelligence agencies, having planned anything outside of India and on their soil or on Canadian soil?
Yeah.
Remember, Trudeau and Trump don't get along.
Oh, remember there was this entire spat between both of them.
But that also is changing. And in all probability, we will not see Trudeau in power.
Yes, 2025 is the election.
But that's next year.
Yeah. And speaking of illegal immigrants, there's so many Indians also who go to Canada and walk on foot to go to the US. So yeah, that's there. Also, I think, Geeta, we have answered almost all the questions because this episode was going to be mostly, trying to understand what's next for the US, what's next for the world, because Trump is in power. And I think he said that he wouldn't be a dictator except quote unquote, except for day one. So according to his own statements, he's got a lot to do on the first day in the White House. I think he's being sworn
See,
in.
but Anna, let's give it to the guy. He has not taken his country to war, to any war.
That, yes. That he's also boasted of.
His focus is going to be to fix the economy, which is absolutely in doldrums. It's in a shambles. And if he wants to fix things in his own country and he's doing it in a certain way, we tolerate so much in various countries where leaders do things in a certain way, and they all say it with the intent of saying that they're doing it for the country. So let's wait and see how he handles it. Because for me, I think I'll wait to see what his policies are going to be on the wars.
Right.
He has come saying, he'll be peacemaker. So let's see what he does.
No, but let's try to understand also, like if you speak about Russia-Ukraine war, we saw the Washington Post just yesterday itself that there was this call between Trump and Putin.
And then there's a denial that has come that there was no call.
No, it was, what did it say? It was pure fiction, Kremlin has said. So, I mean, there are already so many media outlets here also in India saying that when is the war ending? Do we have a date? When do we have the date? So I just want to understand, okay, he has come to power and he has said that I'm going to stop wars. And Russia-Ukraine, I think, is the main focus that he's, concentrating on because Ukraine, NATO and everything. So really, I want to understand if he says he's coming to power almost on that basis, one of the major factors, I think. So explain it to me. How? Because militarily, it cannot be solved. That's what people are saying, experts are saying. So how diplomatically, what exactly Trump can do in terms of providing funds to Ukraine?
I'll tell you what, on the Russia-Ukraine front, NATO is in trouble. Because he'll say, I'm not going to foot this much of the NATO bill.
Yeah.
It's not America's job to fight the European war.
Made it clear.
It's your war. No, he's made it clear, but a lot of money went from America, right? If he stops that, then can Europe sustain this war for Ukraine against Russia? And if not, then what does it do? It pushes them to the negotiating table. Acha, theek hai, whatever is happening, just let's talk and see where we're at.
Yeah.
Which is where then America will say, okay, this cannot be the boundary, this has to be the boundary, so on and so forth. Yeah. Either way, Donbass and Crimea can never be claimed by Ukraine. In fact, I'd say anything south of Dnieper, which is now under Russian control, why should Russia give it up? Russia will say, Putin will say, I've lost men.
Yeah.
What do I tell their families? That we did it for fun and then we withdrew. So this is going to be a long and hard-fought negotiation that will take place. If you go to Israel-Hamas, again, Trump is going to say the same thing. We're absolutely with Israel. Anybody, in fact, within America, there's going to be a massive crackdown on pro-Palestine protests. Because he's told very clearly, anybody who supports Palestine can just leave the country.
No, it was
yeah, but then he was not president.
No, I'm saying that in terms
now he's saying they can leave the country.
Yeah, that, yes, of course.
So I don't know what those policies are going to be, but that will push everyone to come to the negotiating table now.
But in terms of Israel-Hamas war, I think there's also this angle that the hardliners in Israel, they somehow, they actually believe and they want to have like a stronghold over Gaza. They want to continue, ruling it. And also like the war is so-called, fueling Netanyahu's domestic, national, whatever, prospects. Because he's prolonging
and politically
also. So then how that negotiation is going to happen? Because
no, but he is pro-Netanyahu.
No.
So when Netanyahu went for that visit to US, he met Biden. Kamala was not there in the room, and then he went and met Trump. And Trump made it quite evident that, he's going to stand by Netanyahu. In fact, all the pleadings that have come from D.C. up until now to stop the war, that won't come from Trump. He will say, finish it.
How to finish it?
Just finish it. Get rid of the terrorists. Do whatever you want.
Okay.
And if not, that's when I say that the Arab world will come in. Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia,
Saudi and all,
UAE,
yes.
they wield a lot of influence over Trump and the Trump camp. And they will say that don't allow this to happen. Ask them to come to the negotiating table. Biden couldn't do it, but Trump is not somebody Netanyahu can ignore. So if he says that come, talk, sort it out,
Yeah.
they'll have to sort it out. Somewhere I think, I don't know if it's going to play out exactly like this, but I think somewhere there.
So, Geeta, just to end this discussion, I think abortion rights is one thing that, before the recording started, also we were discussing this, and there were multiple sort of views to this, Trump, the Roe versus Wade thing happening, Trump appointing the judge who passed the judgment. But I was listening to this podcast only by inviting only, and the expert was saying that, if you, like the expert, I think he had 7 or 8 years of covering US elections, and he was mentioning that if you go and speak to the people, to the voters there, so they believe, and you say that you're voting for somebody like Trump who is against abortion, and they feel that no, Trump cannot be, like, this idea hasn't seeped through those voters. They think that it's the Republican stake. It's not Trump who is going to be anti-abortion. So when we think that it is the American society only who has voted for somebody like him, who time and again makes so many sexist and racist remarks, if I scroll through my social media, there are so many distressed women who are saying that it is a reflection of the American society. And there are also parallel conversations that if you compare the American society with India, you'll find it more, like forward and more.
Absolutely not.
That's what I want to come, and I want you to make a
Absolutely
point on
not.
that. Is it really, is when you see something, is it really a reflection of...
On women's rights and the right to choose, India, Anna, has been way ahead of America. Way, way ahead. In fact, we've had abortion, the right to choose, much before America did. Which is why, again, Trump played it safe this time. He realized that there are some states where he's going to lose if he makes it all-encompassing and a blanket ban. So he has said that I'm not going to weigh on it. It is not a federal subject anymore. It's a state subject. In US, every state has its own constitution. They have their own. It's a state. It's a standalone state.
Yeah.
So whatever the courts of the state decide, that will apply in each state, and that's how it should be. Let's respect what the states. If my voters are from a particular state and that the voters and the courts of that state decide that there should be abortion, then let them have it. If there's a state that does not want it. But interesting, look at this, which is what I was saying. Kamala Harris banked on this, thinking that a lot of women will not. And yes, a lot of women are not happy with it, even in the swing states. But a lot of them did not come out to vote.
Yeah.
So, it hasn't helped.
Which is striking. Like, I mean, we can't say what could have been the reason to not come and vote for either of them.
Yeah, but then in the swing states, it was not just this. Immigration was a major, major factor. And in Pennsylvania, it was not abortion. Abortion was like one of the last, items on the agenda for people.
Yeah.
The most important was economy.
Yeah. That's the
The
thing.
fact that there is inflation, everyone I was talking to, they kept saying it's unaffordable to live these days.
Yeah.
We're living, it's a hand to mouth right now, and maybe even worse.
Yeah.
So inflation is the biggest thing. And then I'd ask taxi drivers,
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
have your bills gone up, grocery bills? And they'd say that it's 3 times more. It's unimaginable to just have a luxury meal once a week.
Yeah, so they're levying trust on
Yes.
Trump to fix the economy, as he's saying.
It is more than a pro-Trump. I'd say it's an anti-democratic vote that
Right.
Trump has got. That anything, even the wars. What is Trump saying?
I'm going to stop
that
it.
I'm going to stop Israel. But, I'm going to support Israel, right? Stop the war,
Yeah.
but support Israel?
Huh.
Why would pro-Palestine supporters vote Trump? They're voting Trump because they're saying at least he's honest with what he's saying.
Yeah, at least it's saying.
Democrats talk humanitarian, but they've done nothing. So this is also a vengeance vote against the Democrats, that we'll take revenge for what you didn't do. We've been asking you to save Palestinians. You didn't do it.
Yes, we saw
If
how.
he says he's going to stop the war, whatever it takes, it'll save Palestinians. I mean, they're not going with whatever it takes.
Yeah,
They still need the land.
yeah,
You can't have Netanyahu have a free ride.
of course.
But let's see, because the
genuinely,
scenario
it
is
was-
quite scary
yeah, it
for the Israel on the Israel-Hamas front,
Yeah.
and for the Palestinians. It might not be that scary when it comes to Russia-Ukraine war. Maybe scary for Zelensky, but more to do with the fact that both sides have to come to the talking table.
Okay, Geeta, thank you so much. I think we'll put an end to on that note. It was a striking conversation. So many things that surely our listeners and viewers would be wanting to know answers of. And thank you so much. And we'll be back next week with a different topic, and we'll have like a close eye on, because January 20th is the day when he swears in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's see the day one of his office, and we'll be back, and you can send in your feedback on 8588966996, or you can email us on pods@indiatoday.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Keep continuing to watch and to listen to us. It's always a pleasure to know your views and opinions as well.